Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our MC for this evening, Special Envoy Noa Tishby.
Hello. Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the America-Israel Friendship League's annual Partner for Democracy Award dinner. This year, we're honoring 5 distinguished recipients. While I might not be totally objective about all 5 of them, unquestionably, they have all made indelible contribution to the spirit of friendship and cooperation that exists between Israel and the United States. And I can't wait to tell you more about these inspiring honorees as we move along with the evening. With me on stage, coming on stage, almost, our Yasi School students. So are they coming now? Oh no, then what is that? Oh, we have a high school student in Israel. We have an issue with a prompter. High school students from Israel and the United States who are completing today the Yasi program. We're going to hear more about their experiences a bit later on. But first, I invite you together to join in the singing of the national anthem of the United States and of Israel. Leading us this year, 2 young Israeli artists, Hadar Oshalemi on vocals and Shai Kedmi accompanying her on the piano. Please rise, everybody. Oh, there they are. Come on in. Please come on in.
There's a lot of them. We're almost there.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? נפש יהודי הומייה ולפתי מזרח קדימה העין לציון צופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו התקווה חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים.
Thank you so much, Hadar. Thank you, Shai. Welcome once again. You can sit. Please be seated. Thank you. Welcome again to the IAFL Annual Gala. The IAFL, good night, hello, has been making friends in friends for Israel since 1971. Since 1971, everyone. That's 51 years. Yes, please, let's applaud that. Since 1971. That's 51 years of bringing America to Israel and bringing Israel to America. We're excited about what tonight represents for many reasons and grateful to each one of you for sharing with us this moment of renewal, celebration, and possibility. We're fortunate to have a large family of members and count each and every one of you as a family member. It's one big mishpucha. The IAFL is continuously evolving and adapting each year. The organization seeks to offer fresh and new programming that focuses on the story of Israel and Israelis, that shows the commonality between the people of the United States and of Israel, and that creates bridges and form communities of Israel's friends. The following video represents highlights of our work. In particular, it shows some of the grassroots activists that are helping to promote a strong relationship between our two communities. Please watch this film to learn more.
A profound bond, meaningful collaboration, mutual enrichment, and shared values connect Americans and Israelis together throughout the years.
The focus of the AIFL is to increase the understanding of Israel, what Israel is, who Israelis are, what Israelis are all about. By understanding this, by learning about the commonalities that there are between our two people, by learning about all the wonderful things that emanate from Israel, that is really how we create long-term friendships.
The America-Israel Friendship League strengthens the bonds between Israelis and Americans and brings to life the amazing parts of both countries, tech innovation, cultural happenings, and even political and historical events.
This year, as COVID-19 restrictions were finally lifted, the America-Israel Friendship League immediately restored its long-lasting tradition of sending leadership delegations to Israel, including the Harvard Crocodillos, who came to lift the spirit at the Schneider Children's Hospital and performed live at the beach of Bat Yam. These leadership delegations to Israel introduce Americans from various fields to a plethora of Israel's significant achievements.
The ingenuity, the positive spirit that this nation, which is no bigger than New Jersey, brings to a dangerous part of the world is inspiring.
There's just so much that this country has to offer that really, really resonates with the entire world.
It is more than I expected. It was truly an eye-awakening experience.
Over the last few years, the AIFL has transformed itself. It has truly upped the ante. Over 2 million viewers of its webinars, over 12 million people who've been exposed to our messaging, all the members of our local communities, the participants in our delegations, all of those things combined together to create the modern AIFL.
AIFL continues to develop and enhance its online platforms with the expanded series of hugely popular webinars, connecting Americans and Israelis in practically every field known to man, from cooking to yoga and Pilates, from science to music, high-tech to security, and many more. V-Teens connects teenagers based on an engagement model that leverages the social media skills unique to Generation Z and generates fun discussions focused on shared interests and values. Always aspiring to create further connections, the AIFL constantly creates new initiatives, such as the Alumni at Parlor Outreach events and the Local Area Network Parlor Series, attracting participants that are new to the AIFL.
The America-Israel Friendship League, with its mission of bringing the two people together and ensuring the strong alliance and friendship between the two countries, is more essential than ever.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president of the AIFL, Jonathan Barsdale.
I'm sure that next time he'll pronounce it correctly. There is a slight switch over here. I know that everyone was expecting with high anticipation to hear me speak, but fortunately for all of us, actually, we're going to be swapping it around, and it is great. Gives me great pleasure to actually introduce before my remarks the General Consul of Israel to New York, Ambassador Asaf Zamil.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who heard me this morning at the morning event, I'm sorry you have to hear me twice. And thank you for letting me speak before you, Jonathan. I have another engagement and I didn't want to miss it, so I appreciate it. It's my second time speaking to this amazing and important forum after last year's 50th event. And it's an honor to be here tonight as we mark the 51st anniversary of the America-Israel Friendship League. Since its inception, the AIFL has been instrumental in strengthening the unshakable bipartisan bond and deep connection that exists between the United States and the State of Israel. For 51 years, its leadership has been at the forefront of showcasing the commonality of interests and vehicles for collaboration that exist between our two great nations, whether it be in the fields of entrepreneurship, culture, medical research, or environmental protection initiatives. The AIFL deserves much appreciation and recognition for all that they do. At the outset, I extend my congratulations to tonight's honorees, the Azrieli Group, Silverstein Properties, Dr. Albert Bourla of Pfizer, Kåre Schultz of Teva Pharmaceutical Industries, and Special Envoy, my friend Noa Tishby. Their joint commitment to creating bridges between the U.S. and Israel for the benefit of Americans and Israelis alike is an example and inspiration to all of us. Mazel tov. Throughout my tenure, I have come to realize that life for Jewish Americans has many challenges, as does the relationship between Israel and the United States, including an unprecedented rise in anti-Semitism, newfound acceptance of anti-Israel and anti-Zionist delegitimization, and an alarming rise in polarizing rhetoric surrounding support for Israel. In recent days, the disturbing campaign of anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish hate in America has only intensified. The people in this room really do represent the best of the representatives of the relationship between Israel and the United States. But if you live here, you all know that it's not the case for everyone. And it really has been a very bad and very challenging year when talking about anti-Semitism and when talking about anti-Israel sentiments. And one thing that happened this week made me think, or got me thinking. There was a very famous singer that said extremely anti-Semitic things, and everyone stood up and spoke out against it. It was very impressive. But he had to say extremely bad things for everyone to stand up and speak. And just a week before that, in a university in California, in Berkeley, 9 student groups passed a resolution that you are not allowed to be invited as a speaker to the university campus if you identify as pro-Israel. And that thin line between the ability in the United States to be not anti-Semitic, but to delegitimize the right of the Jewish people on their eternal homeland and their right for their self-determination is something that has become politically extremely normalized. Which is why the work of the AIFL is so important. It's important because it emphasizes Israel and the United States, and it does it proudly. And it does one of the most important things you can do to make sure that that relationship strengthens and exists in a generation from now. And that is to create true partnerships. Walking in here, I met a friend, an assembly member of the state of New York, that visited Israel the first time this year. And I was reminded by all of the people I meet before and after they visit Israel. If they're politicians, if they're business leaders creating partnerships, if they're part of the cultural world and go for a residency. I've never met a person that's been to Israel and came back less understanding of the complexity, of the justifications, and of the history. And if we look at our future and the future of this relationship, it really does lie on our ability to create as many partnerships as possible, as many experiences on every level, in every sector. And the AIFL is so crucial in its work for that. So I really do, in the name of the State of Israel, want to thank everyone in this room for contributing to the work of the AIFL. I encourage you to continue doing that. The resources are being spent in the most important way to make sure that our two countries that really do share not just interests, but values that are not shared by everyone in the world, that these two countries continue to have a strong relationship, that they don't need to justify that relationship, and that we can grow together in it. Thank you very, very much, and have a great evening. Thank you. You sing wonderfully. Good night.
Good evening and Elf Tov. Welcome to AIFL's celebratory evening. Once again, this is promising to be another memorable evening, celebrating not just the organization, but all of you, what we consider to be our family and friends of Israel. We are glad that we could share this evening with you. I'd like to start, obviously, by thanking and welcoming our guests of honor. Each and every one of them is a recognized leader in their respective fields. Each and every one of them has overcome obstacles with creativity, ingenuity, and perseverance. Each and every one of them is a beacon of positivity and can-do. Thank you for honoring us with your presence here tonight. Danna Azrieli, Chairman of the Azrieli Group. Lisa Silverstein and Tal Kerret, Vice Chairman and President of the Silverstein Properties. Dr. Albert Bourla, CEO of Pfizer. Kåre Schultz, CEO of Teva Pharmaceuticals. And of course, Noa Tishby, Special Envoy for the State of Israel. I can skip on the next paragraph where I'm introducing Asaf Zamir. But I also did want to introduce Israel Nitzan, the Deputy Consul for the State of Israel. I also want to welcome each and every one of you, actually, our guests, those of you who have traveled from Israel, from California, and many, many places in between. Those who have traversed from the suburbs and the 5 boroughs. Frankly, we don't take it lightly. If anything, these last years of COVID have taught us the value of getting together and being together, forming communities. Thank you. And as been our tradition, our gala festivities opened up this morning with an annual Israel Day. This year, it was at the New York Stock Exchange in partnership with Guy Franklin from Israeli Mapped in New York. Each year, we have been featuring Israeli technology from different sectors. This morning event was dedicated to PropTech, a concept that I actually have never even heard before until about 2 months ago. Essentially, technology that's developed to manage commercial properties. As with many other technical innovations, we found out once again how Israeli companies are leading the charge in this space. I would like to thank Stefan and the management of the New York Stock Exchange for hosting us today and facilitating such a wonderful event. And if possible, I'd like to draw your attention to the videos where we'd like to share with you a few moments from today. As I move on, I do want to take a step back and remind us all what it is that we're doing here. What is it that we're celebrating? What is it that makes the AIFL so different from the so many different organizations that operate in the Israel space? 4 years ago, when I was asked to join leadership of the organization together with Eric Gertler over here, and Wayne, who's also joined us today, the three of us sat around and we tried to give meaning to the defined mission, make friends from Israel. I recalled, as a kid, I would go around asking people to be my friend. Didn't really work, so no, that idea was thrown out the window. And it came to us that what we meant over here was maybe to create a community of friends of people who care about Israel. People who care about Israel as friends care about each other. It doesn't mean that we were not looking for blind loyalty. Friends don't always agree with each other, and they don't always see eye to eye. But rather, people, Jews and non-Jews alike, who care about Israel and will be there at a time of need and not allow harm to occur. The community does not have to be heterogeneous. It can be created from different groups. So we embarked upon 3 areas of activity. We expanded beyond the groups of delegations of bringing people to Israel, and we launched our webinar series, over 200 webinar sessions, which continue to this very day to bring over 10,000 people each and every week to every session. People from all sectors of life who come to listen and learn about something of interest about Israel. If it's a guided tour, a mission, a lesson in history, some wonderful music or opera, Israeli art, and yes, also educational and informational sessions. Over 2 million viewers, people who might not have necessarily traveled to Israel, but these sessions expose a grassroots movement of people to what Israel is all about. They see some of the wonderful things that come from Israel. They see that Israelis are similar to them, have the same kind of appreciations and issues. And to those who are more engaged, we opened our local networks, small communities of like-minded people from the same town, or maybe people who travel together on one of our delegations. We use these small communities to keep people involved and engaged with the organization. These 3 different pillars of activity form the basis of the AIFL today, an organization that is creating a large grassroots community of people who are learning about Israel and Israelis, who through this exposure and involvement will care about Israel, and yes, when asked, they too will be able to say, I am a friend of Israel. As part of this renewal, I'm proud that we are unveiling this evening our new logo. And there it is. You probably have seen it around today. We commissioned a logo that will convey a sense of renewal, energy, activity, but still remain loyal to our roots, to our original logo. We hope that you will agree that Barbara, our faithful graphical designer, captured all of this in the new design. None of this would be possible without a truly dedicated staff. The AIFL team works tirelessly on a daily basis to achieve all of these goals. The scope of work achieved by such a small team is truly unheard of. And believe it or not, I come from the world of startups. I know what small teams can do, and this one is truly extraordinary. And I want to thank each and every one of you, Ruby, Naomi, Cassia, Giovanni, Tali, Raquel, Jeremy, Kim, and our dedicated social media staff, Ben, Jonah, and Scott. Without your dedication, none of this would be possible. And I truly hope that I didn't miss anybody. And as I indicated before, thank you, of course, to my partners in crime. Eric Gertler, our faithful chairman. Thank you. And Danny Giluman, our faithful chairman from Israel. Thank you. And finally, as many of you know, yes, it was 44 years ago. Some 44 years ago, I stood where these young people are standing. Well, not exactly. We didn't have a gala back then, and there wasn't a stage. But I was a host on the first group of Americans who came to Israel under the auspices of the AIFL, and I was a member of the first AIFL group of Israelis that came to the United States. I can tell you that standing in front of students in public high schools in New York, around the boroughs, talking about what it is like to be an Israeli teenager, not having the guts to ask a girl on a date, but knowing that in just a few short months I'm going to be running around training for a combat unit in the Army, figuring out how late I can stay out on a Friday night and still somehow pass a test on a Sunday morning. All of these had a strong impact on forming who I was to become, and more important, they helped me understand how similar we all are, how I can care about people even if they live thousands of miles away. And just to remind you, this was before the days of email and instant messaging. And that, my dear friends, is truly what friendship is all about. These students behind me are following in these same footsteps, and I'm proud to ask them to come share with you what they have been up to these last few weeks. Undoubtedly, it will inspire hope and new opportunities for them and for you. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Salima Juarez. I am from Virginia Beach and I attend Tallwood High School. Go Lions. First, I would like to congratulate tonight's honorees and acknowledge everyone who worked really hard to put this together for a wonderful evening for us and for everyone here and inviting us to participate. I've never been to something like this, so I'm so excited. This is my senior year and I am beyond excited to be participating with Yossi. I have had the opportunity to be part of this and it's something really special for me. I've made unforgettable memories here. I got to host a student for a week, and it was so much fun. I got to show my guests around school, my community, local activities, and everything that I'm involved in. Not only did I get to host, but I got to hang out with the other Israeli delegates. Before we got to our trip to DC, all of us hung out with also the other Israeli delegates, and we became a mini family, and I'm so grateful for all the memories that we've created. We did so many things. We went to haunted houses and amusement parks, and we got to celebrate Halloween together and do like very fall festive activities. In that week, we just bonded and took the cutest pictures ever. Therefore, we hopped on a charter bus and headed to DC. Our mini family grew when we met other students from Israel, Oklahoma, and Houston. We did workshops and we walked a lot around the city and saw various monuments. My favorite part is when we were in DC, I visited the African American Museum, where I got to go on a self-guided tour. There we experienced the most amazing things and saw the most beautiful things there. Fortunately, it was really special for me to go there because during the pandemic, a lot of things were closed. So being with the Israeli delegates, it made it more memorable for not only for me to go, but to go with them. So I'll never forget that. During these times, we continued, and our next stop was here in New York City. All of our faces lit up when we saw all the buildings and all the lights, and we were so excited to explore. We got to do more workshops where we got closer as a group, and we learned to be vulnerable, yet confident, as we learned about ourselves and others with no judgment. As Ms. Garcia says, this was our Vegas. Yossi has taught me 3 important things. Comfortable shoes are key when walking a lot. B, I got to make long life friends and bonds. See, with this program coming to an end, I'm going to be very sad that we're all parting our ways, especially since we got really close. However, it's okay because we took cute pictures, and I will cherish this moment and these memories forever. Thank you for this wonderful experience. I am so grateful. You guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm from the Pfizer School, one of 3 delegations who came to Israel. We're here on the American Israeli Friendship League Youth Ambassador Student Exchange Program. And today, November 2022 is our last day with this amazing program. Thank you all. It's a bittersweet moment since we loved this. This was amazing. It was an absolute amazing program, and we're so sad to leave. It was so cool. I want to also congratulate tonight's award recipients. I would like to thank everyone that supported us and were able to make this program possible. I would like to thank the board of directors of the AIFL, the Israeli Youth Exchange Authorities, and especially Mrs. Cassia, the IAFL staff, and all our chaperones. After 2 weeks of this crazy, fully packed, crazy program, we're tired. It was hard, but we had the time of our lives. It all started with a flight at 3 in the morning for us, with a 12 and a half hour flight just to get to JFK. And after all that traveling, we finally were so happy and excited to meet our families, our hosts, where we would stay this next week. Me, in particular, with 10 other kids, we were in Virginia Beach with Salima. And there, we had so much fun. By the way, we tried Chick-fil-A. It's not that good. It was a great experience. We learned so many things. We delegated Israel. We did presentations, and we went to amusement parks where most of us screamed. On the first day, most of us, the boys, wore American football outfits, because we don't have that in Israel. And the girls wore cheerleaders' outfits, uniform. It was amazing, so special. We made photos, it was amazing. And also the fact that it was Halloween made this trip even more amazing. And now we finally understand what the hype is around Halloween and trick-or-treating in America. I love candy. We also went on to many field trips that were interesting all over Virginia Beach. We went to an aquarium, the JCC, the Jewish Community Center, an environmental building, which was a school that has a positive impact on the world, not a negative like most buildings nowadays. And we just visited Virginia Beach, which was awesome. And sadly, after a week, we just had to leave to Washington. We made such good friends with everyone, but sadly, we had to leave 2 students, Eliza and Molly, who couldn't make it with us to Washington. Please say thank you. Okay. And we were off to Washington. When we arrived to Washington, we visited many national museums and monuments. We went to the White House, the Capitol, the Arlington Cemetery, which was very interesting. Some of us decided to go to the Air and Space Museum, while others went to the African American History Museum, like Salima. These days flew by really fast, so quick, in a flash. We're all of a sudden in a bus again going to New York, but we did make a stop in Philadelphia to eat, go to the historic Mikveh Israel Synagogue of Philadelphia, and every one of you who knows the Liberty Bell, and now we're here, New York. So here, between great speeches by Rabbi Joseph Potansky and Nimrod Kalmar from the UN, and I also want to thank our guides, Jeff Ribak and Alan, who also showed us around DC. And we also want to thank Oprah and Mrs. Cassia, who made workshops with us, which were fun, kind of. We also loved being tourists around New York. It was amazing. We toured around Times Square. We went to the 9/11 Memorial. and we saw the great architecture of the Temple Emmanuel. We went to strawberry fields and the Imagine at the Central Park. To summarize everything we did this trip, it was amazing. We definitely spent 2 weeks we will never forget in our lives. We basically lived the American dream for 2 weeks. During this trip, we learned so many things. We are different. I mean, we literally come from the other side of the world. But we're also teenagers, which we talk about the same thing. We're the same people too. And all of this we're able to do this program because of you, this impossible thing you made possible. Thank you very much.
When you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing, oh nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest nights. Join us, come on. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you gotta do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. Ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you and take your soul if you let them. Oh, no, don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Don't you know that winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you gotta do is come, and I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend, oh baby, you've got a friend. Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it good to know you've got a friend?
So adorable. Can we please just give it up to the kids again, Bialkin? I want to be a part of your trip. It looks so much fun. Thank you so much. Hearing this song and seeing these students from Israel and the United States sing together, it's beyond heartwarming. This symbolizes what the AIFL is all about, bringing the people of these two countries together and creating bonds and friendships. I'm so moved both by the beautiful camaraderie and experience we also learning from the program, all of you, participated in the last 2 weeks. Please join me in thanking these young adults. Now it's time as they leave us and go to the airport. They're flying out to Israel right now. Have a safe flight, Tisanima. Thank you so much. Thank you again. They're literally going to the airport right now. I asked if it's true, and they said, yes, it's true. Bye. Safe flight. So, it has been quite a year. In your gala journals in front of you, you can see some of the accomplishments from the year, as well as greetings from friends around the country and around the world. We have letters and proclamations from nations, states, and even local communities that wanted to share their solidarity with us tonight, and we now want to share just a few excerpts with you. Joining me is Ruby Shamir, Executive Director of AIFL Israel. Ruby, come on over. Take it away. All right, we're doing this together. Hi.
Yeah, okay. President Herzog, the President of the State of Israel, writes, "The America-Israel Friendship League is a vital pillar in this alliance, building countless people-to-people connections over the past 51 years, which continue to strengthen and enrich the relationship between our two nations." The title of these festivities, Partners in Democracy Gala, is therefore very appropriate. Our people have long identified a kinship in each other that stems from our commitment to protecting democracy's pluralism and respect for others. At a time when revisionist forces are seeking to rewrite the global rules-based order, our two nations stand together to promote peace, stability, and moderation. As President of the Jewish Democratic State of Israel, this fills me with pride. This year's AIFL honorees, Danna Azrieli, Dr. Albert Bourla, Tal Kerret and Lisa Silverstein, Kåre Schultz, and Noa Tishby have worked to promote understanding, openness, and friendship between the United States and Israel. Each of them has made a unique contribution in support of our vibrant partnership, leaving us truly inspired and grateful. I thank the America-Israel Friendship League for your ongoing work securing our bonds of friendship, and I congratulate all honorees for exemplifying this very spirit.
Governor Charlie Baker and Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito of Massachusetts write that for decades, the America-Israel Friendship League has been active in promotion and development of mutual friendship and understanding between the people of the United States and the people of the State of Israel. Through their cultural and educational initiatives, the IFL provides resources for people of all ages to involve themselves in Israeli social and educational activities. The IAFL's event, the Partners for Democracy Award Gala, is another example of the IAFL's, along with both of the United States and the State of Israel's, dedication and recognition of those who are champions and activists for the cause of democracy.
Governor DeSantis of Florida wrote us that your efforts to send delegation students, you just saw them, educators and leaders across the Atlantic and the Mediterranean to forge people-to-people relationship between Americans and Israelis allow more of our countrymen to see for themselves the value of our nation's alliance. Enjoy the gala and keep up the good work. Israel, oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. You want to take it?
Yeah, no. Your turn.
It says my name. Then we'll do this. Governor Henry McMaster of South Carolina added, "Our country shares a strong friendship with Israel, rooted in a common belief in freedom and democracy. The America-Israel Friendship League, IAFL, has been a staunch supporter of this mutual beneficial relationship and continues its effort to further the alliance between the nations through a wide range of programs that foster respect, understanding, and cooperation. It is through the committed effort of the IFL that Americans are learning more about how the contemporary culture, politics, economy, and life in Israel reflects our own. Peggy and I wish you all the best for a delightful evening." And from Governor Greg Abbott, Governor of the state of Texas. Still Mia?
Now I'm going to speak. Yeah.
Go for it. It says my name.
Sorry. Oh.
No, please continue.
Governor Hochul from New York expresses this to us. Since its founding, the America-Israel Friendship League has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to promoting a strong and enduring relationship between our two nations through youth exchange programs, leadership, delegations, and other multicultural experiences. I'm grateful to all those affiliated with AIFL for their compassionate advocacy on behalf of the Jewish people, Israel, and those who seek the advancement of democratic values throughout the world. Tonight, you come together to look back at a year of accomplishment and ahead to continued success. I join in congratulating your distinguished honorees for their many contributions, the significant and lasting impact of your efforts remind us of all that can be accomplished when we work towards a noble goal.
Please take a look at the video screens where we will share greetings from the Governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy.
Hey, good evening, everyone. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy here. It is my honor to be a part of the America-Israel Friendship League Partners for Democracy 51-year Gala. And in celebration of this special anniversary, I thank my good friends Dr. David Milch and Josh Weston for the invitation to share this message with all of you. For more than a half century, the AIFL has stood at the forefront of the America-Israeli partnership, building connections and bridges person to person. As home to one of the nation's largest Jewish and Israeli populations, New Jersey enjoys long-standing ties with the State of Israel. Our relationship is not only based on common values, but also in the power of innovation and limitless potential of our people. Israeli-owned companies located in New Jersey range from the electric vehicle industry to pharmaceuticals, finance, telecom, and beyond. They bring us under a common future. Tonight's honorees are from all walks of life, but with a love and respect for Israel in common, which is a perfect reflection of this mission to increase Americans' appreciation, understanding, and support for the region. It has been my honor and pleasure to have visited Israel 4 times as governor, 8 times overall, and to have welcomed major Israeli institutions to our state, including the likes of Ben-Gurion University and Teva Pharmaceuticals. We see eye to eye on our commitment to ensuring that every Jewish community and all communities in our state feel not only safe, but welcome. So to all of tonight's honorees, including Special Envoy Noa Tishby, Silverstein Properties, Teva Pharmaceuticals, Azrieli Group, Pfizer, and to the AIFL and its membership, congratulations and thank you for your incredible and important work. Together, we will continue to strengthen the New Jersey-Israel economic partnership. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you.
Please welcome to the stage Eric Gertler, Chairman of the Board of the America-Israel Friendship League.
Good evening. I actually have many titles, and that excludes the titles I get when I take away screen time from my daughter. But I'm very proud to be the chairman of the American-Israel Friendship League. First, I do want to recognize the team at AIFL, starting with my partner, Jonathan Barsaid, Ruby Shamir, Dan Gillerman, and the rest of the team. You do extraordinary work day in, day out, and I thank you for all you do to support the American-Israel relationship, so thank you. To our youth ambassadors that just left us, you had me at Chick-fil-A. To our honorees, thank you for letting us honor you. We know that you have many recognitions coming your way, and we appreciate you making the time. You are leaders in the community. You are leaders in industry. You are leaders in the U.S.-Israel relationship, and you are leaders in terms of the value you represent and we are truly honored to be able to recognize all you do tonight. So thank you. Why the American-Israel Friendship League? Because the U.S.-Israel friendship is not just important, but must be unbreakable and unpartisan. Why American-Israel Friendship League? We are better when the United States and Israel are strong and robust in their relationship, sharing ideas, culture, innovation, and even more important, in the challenging times that we sometimes face. Why U.S. and Israel? The world is better with a vibrant United States and a growing Israel working together to make the world a better place. And why American-Israel Friendship League? Because our programs support all of the above, whether it's the delegations that we send to Israel and back here, or the many online programs that we have developed. Why do I spend my time as chairman of the American-Israel Friendship League? Why? Because I feel that I'm a better person in the United States, having been an immigrant here, and because every time I go to Israel, I learn and I grow. Why do I serve as chairman, and why do I believe in the American-Israel Friendship League? Because I love being inculcated with the values that Israel provides and being Jewish. And also I welcome the Judeo-Christian values of democracies when they are strong and robust and growing. Why do I spend my time? Because I know I have personally benefited my life and my career by a strong American-Israel friendship. And why do I spend my time doing this? Because I love New York. I am committed to New York. I've spent my time helping to build New York. But still, every time I land in Israel, I have that special feeling, and I think about thousands of years of history as I walk and travel throughout Israel. In so many ways, I've been lucky to be involved in the United States and Israel relationships, from serving in government, philanthropically, scientifically, and in terms of technological innovation. And I hope that continues, because every time I'm involved with Israel or involved in the relationship, something special happens. The American-Israel Friendship League is 51 years now, getting stronger every day, vibrant, looking younger, because remember, 51 is really the new 41. So thank you all.
I think that some real estate people just look at their building, and they look at the outside of the building, and they say, oh, it's great, it's big, it's beautiful. They walk in, the lobby looks nice. I think the Silversteins realize that the building is filled with people. The buildings come alive because there are people in the building.
Tal has this creative energy that started with technology, and he has grown that as well as his understanding of real estate. And Lisa has it in her blood and understands the development process. And so they are columns that stand next to each other.
I first met Tal and Lisa some 2.5 years ago through a mutual friend. And I remember specifically asking Lisa, what is your vision? What do you want? And Lisa said, I want to create happy communities. It was as simple as that.
Tal and I met each other about a quarter century ago now. And about 8 years ago, we started Silvertech Ventures. And Tal's idea at that juncture was that tech CEOs are amongst the loneliest people he's ever met, and that tech CEOs from Israel are even lonelier. And since that time now, we've built what we think is now the largest portfolio of Israeli companies in the United States. Being in the World Trade Center, you're in the center of New York, and if you're in the center of New York, you're sort of in the center of the world.
Anybody who knows them knows that You don't sit in a conversation for more than 5 minutes without Israel coming into the conversation. It's one of the things I love about it, because it doesn't make a difference what you're talking about. There's always a way to bring Israel into the conversation, and not just for the sake of bringing it up, but okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to solve this problem?
Lisa brings heart and compassion first and foremost, an understanding for the need for a place like Beit Ruth for those that are less fortunate. Lisa is the spirit of Tikkun Olam, the idea of our responsibility to help repair the world. She believes in that, and that comes across in everything that she does.
I always see them gathering people around them. Whenever you meet somebody, they're thinking, well, who could this person meet in order for them to grow into something? And it's always so selfless. It's always, it's genuine. And I feel that it's not just what they do, it's the energy that comes into a room. It's that smile, it's that yes can do attitude, and it's contagious.
The Silverstein family are quintessential leaders at UJ Federation and in the New York Jewish community and beyond. They are the most beloved people, and this just isn't just coming from Larry and Clara, but Lisa Tal, their children. They are really a multi-generational role model family to the community.
The other day, Lisa joined us to serve food on a Thursday to all of our employees, and I found that that was so sincere and so kind.
I am grateful to have had the privilege of being in the state of Israel several times, thanks to my parents. And I very much so look forward to the day that I bring my young son, as my parents brought me, and show him what a beautiful and meaningful country it truly is. To expose the next generation. It is how we will continue to build developments, relationships, and instill knowledge in those younger than us.
In thinking about Lisa and Tal as a couple and partner in life and partners in business, they live with authenticity and this desire to help other people, to be close to people, and to create a better city. They live it and breathe it.
So if there was one message that I'd like to leave Lisa and Tal with, is I love you. You guys are great, and I so appreciate being with you, being part of what you do. I'm proud that I'm on the board of an organization that's recognizing you for just the right things, and let's do more.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Larry Silverstein.
Let's see. So, first, let me tell you that Clara and I are delighted to be here with everybody tonight. It's even more of a pleasure to introduce two of our favorite people in the world. Of course, we're somewhat biased. Lisa is our best younger daughter, and Tal is the best son-in-law of all of our son-in-laws, possibly because he's the only one. But as you may have seen and heard, they're two spectacular people and one hell of a couple. Their attitude is always endeavoring to be helpful, always listening to people and their problems, always trying to be helpful in terms of solving those problems. They're sensitive to the needs of others. This particular honor is fitting. Lisa and Tal are both passionate and committed to Israel and America, and do great good for the American Jewish community because they bring it all together. I think back to the lives that Kåre and I have led together for only 66 years. And I say to myself, they're not much different. We're extraordinarily proud of both of them. So what we'd like to say to both of you, Israel desperately needs more people with your devotion, dedication, commitment to making it and the world a better place for all of us. It's your sense of love, your sense of compassion, your innate desire to be helpful to people, whoever they are, wherever they may be, whatever their upbringing, whatever their religious convictions. You've got enormous heart, and we all bless you both for it. You're setting the most wonderful example for your kids, and it's just a question of time until this continues to grow. But you're setting the best example, the very best example you could possibly set in this world that desperately needs more of such examples. So all we could say is simply, don't stop doing what you're doing. It's fabulous, and we can't have too much of it. Congratulations.
Yes. The best thing we can do is leave right now on a high note, but I have a few things to say. First, we're so honored to be here and thank all of you for supporting the America-Israel Friendship League. And I also want to congratulate our fellow recipients. I'm not going to name them all, but we're in very good company. For us, Israel and the United States are home. We have deeply rooted foundations, family ties, business ventures in both places, but above all, a devotion to Israel, a place that holds the most inspirational story of really any nation. A people summoned to improve the lives of others into a better future should be known as such. A country that churns out leading innovations in so many arenas should be sought after. A nation that is first to assist with humanitarian efforts around the world when disaster strikes should be cherished. Israel should be known as a global treasure, recognized, defended, and protected as a necessity for everyone's well-being. The problem is not Israel, but the inability to permeate the severe misconceptions that exist. The space between fact and fiction continues to broaden and seems baked into this worldview that's trending away from the truth. And as much as we bring politicians and educators and leaders of various faiths to learn of the culture and the extraordinary achievements, the overwhelming majority does not see Israel for what it is. Part of strengthening the relationship between Israel and the United States requires us to portray and represent Israel in a broader and more strategic manner. We need to be more Israeli, more resourceful, and underline the contrast so we can paint the real picture showing the resilient culture that we celebrate and not do so in a silo. They are not a country to bask in the glow of their fortitude, their humanity, and their intellectual distinction. When the best teaching hospital goes out to raise capital, donors know the cause. When we go out and ask for alliance, people should not have to ask why, but rather how, as they should understand the cause. The incentive for support should not have to be justified. It should be known. There's always a constellation of challenges that can weaken ties, which is why perception does matter. Just as we educate our children and our grandchildren, passing down our heritage as our lifeblood, so do others pass down their beliefs against Israel by a factor of over 100 to 1. In universities across the nation, the bedrock principle of freedom of speech allows for both anti-Israel platforms using false rhetoric and allows others to defend the truth. But when leaders bestow awards to those that denounce Israel using false commentary, they betray and forfeit the principle of education, of truth, and accuracy. Social media has the ability to unite millions that denounce Israel, curating their own history without paying any homage to the truth. Administrations change, global policies change. Some of these challenges can be met if we can widen and sharpen the national lens through which the majority can see what's at stake, whether through social media, strategic branding, leveraging our university board positions against the rising tide of misinformation, creating a national coalition of best-in-class professionals that can come together and brainstorm how best we can help a nation that we all need. To us in this room, the arc of common sense stretches towards eternal alliance, transcending politics. But those beliefs sit in the vacuum primarily of the Jewish community. We have an exceptional, profound story of a country the size of a postage stamp compared to the envelope of surrounding threat. A force of nature that is never content, but intent on exceeding what is. A startup nation bursting with technology unicorns. One that tips the scales, weighted by their contributions, not by their numbers. They don't see glass ceilings. Their benchmark is limited only by their imagination, fueled with the purpose to progress and improve, all while defending themselves and serving as the only democratic heartbeat in the Middle East. Whether we like it or not, we have all inherited a responsibility to change the national conversation, which will help foster relations and deepen ties. The America-Israel Friendship League does a tremendous job to promote friendship between the United States and Israel in so many ways. We all need to help set the table for the next generation, which brings me to this table here where our children are. I want to thank everybody for coming, my whole family. And we know you probably won't remember a word that was said tonight, but we truly hope that you remember what's important and continue the effort in your way. We love you. Thank you.
I'll say a couple words. My father-in-law taught me two very important words that are yes, dear. The most important words in my life. And my wife told me don't speak too much, so yes, dear. I'll make it as short as I can. This year, I am turning a record, they call it in Israel, right? Flipping a record. They usually say it when you serve in the army in the middle of your service. So this year, it's exactly the time when I've been in Israel, living in Israel, and in America, living in America, the same amount of time. So I'm flipping a record. And I feel 100% Israeli and 100% American, which is, we have the America-Israel Friendship League here in one house, which helps. The relationship between the two nations, to my belief, is both the strongest, with some fractures in some other places, but it's the most important one. Israel is kind of sitting at the front line of a very difficult neighborhood, but if Israel was not there, that neighborhood would come very quickly here. And at the same time, Israel needs America, all of us, to help. It's a democracy, it's good people with good values, the most important values. At our home, I have learned not just the meaning of the America-Israel, and we have kids here and a grandson that hopefully will learn. He's just 7 months old. You saw a picture of him. And I volunteered. You call it volunteered? I became the baby nurse, volunteering or not, I don't know. That's my job, because apparently Israelis can wake up in the middle of the night and go to bed quickly. So you're laughing. I'm changing diapers. And it is what it is. But it's the best experience. So thank you to my daughter and her husband, Alex, for giving us a grandchild, which is a continuation of this America-Israel friendship and relationship. To all of you, I thank you from the AIFL, from the honorees that are coming. I got Pfizer, by the way. There's the booster and the vaccination. I also take Teva's medicine, the generics. So, and I love the Azrieli building. So we're all good, in good place. And I appreciate all of you tolerating us. Thank you very much. And let's move to the next honorees. Thank you.
First and foremost, my vision for the Azrieli Group is to continue to build Israel.
The Azrieli Group, Israel's leading real estate company, has quite literally shaped the Israeli landscape.
The group is not static. It works within the box and outside of the box with a very concrete horizon, a very strong trajectory and value creation with values for the long term.
And we do so by the four main legs of the Azrieli Group: the mall sector, the office sector, the senior housing and residential sector, and now as we become a global player in the data center industry.
Danna stands at the helm of the Azrieli Group with great business acumen and a clear vision of the future.
The group's ability to execute on Danna's vision is powerful, and in my mind, it is the combination of deep understanding of consumers and the ability to effectively turn the dream into a reality.
Danna Azrieli has made the Azrieli Group to one of the largest companies on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, and by far the largest real estate group in Israel.
One of the greatest strengths of the Azrieli Group is their caring about people, the customer, the human being who comes into their domain. And so this comes to play in the building that we are designing, the Spiral Tower in Tel Aviv, because it is an unusually mixed use of functions. That takes a lot of care and intelligence to continue to ask how a building in a place affects the human spirit, its effect on society, on the environment.
Working with the biggest and strongest real estate company in Israel, we have the opportunity to offer and develop and build very advanced solutions, very updated architectural design.
Throughout Israel, the group develops, builds and manages thriving premier retail centers and shopping malls at the highest international standards.
Our group is working with 24 brands in 18 countries. All the big brands worldwide. Nike, Foot Locker, American Eagle, Mango. We are making business with all the big landlords worldwide. Unibail Rodamco Westfield, Cadillac Fairview, Oxford. In Israel with a lot of landlords. But if I look in all the world, the most professional vision, DNA, partnership, it's Azrieli Group with the management of Danna Azrieli.
Danna is a true inspiring Zionist, and she brought to the senior housing in Palace her beliefs, which are family and community. Danna has brought to Israel corporate social responsibility long before green design of buildings has become mandatory in Israel.
Danna Azrieli, on top of her IQ, has a very high level of EQ, which means she relates herself to people's needs, to people's well-beings. She's looking forward for solutions which make the world better and the environment better.
Danna's Zionism, together with the approach to environment, together with approach to people, and understanding in business creates a very unique value proposition which takes this group to different levels compared to any other organization in Israel today.
The data center was becoming our fourth leg. We understood that it was a way to expand the company and to grow in an international arena.
From hospitals to women's empowerment, from research institutes to assisting Holocaust survivors, the Azrieli Foundations are involved in the support of numerous causes in Israel and abroad.
I'm really proud of the fact that our success in the Azrieli Group has enabled us also to be able to give through our family's philanthropy. My sister Naomi is the chairman of the Azrieli Foundation, and we also give in so many ways to music and arts, which is so important that my sister Sharon spearheads.
Over the past decade, we have built the best network of high schools in Israel. We go into every peripheral community around the country. And by the time we are in the schools for more than a few years, they're achieving a 93.5% matriculation.
Danna has been a driving force and set an example to many other philanthropists.
Danna is a unique human being, and what epitomizes her activity is the fact that she knows life on both sides of the ocean. She's a true honorable Israeli.
She's a tapestry, a beautiful tapestry of Zionism, initiative, excellence, leadership, and compassion.
I'm driven each and every morning to do better than the day before. And for as long as it continues to be a mission to build Israel, to build the company, to continue with the legacy, I wake up every morning and it's the most exciting thing I could ever be doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman of the Board of the AIFL Israel, Ambassador Dan Gillerman.
Good evening. You know, I look at this room and I think to myself, what an amazing tapestry of excellence we have in this room. We have leadership, we have vision, we have creativity, we have compassion, and most of all, we have the love for Israel. And in today's honorees, we truly have a dream team. We have people who save lives, and we have people who make lives better. And being Israeli and chairman of the America-Israel Friendship League, this fills me with great pride. You know, when I was Israel, I had the privilege, as many of you know, to be Israel's ambassador to the UN, and I was warned what a spider web, what a citadel of duplicity and double standards I'm going to enter into. But I can tell you that each and every day when I put on my helmet and flak jacket and walked to that glass building on First Avenue, I walked the halls of the UN with my head held up high, because I knew that I was representing a country that was far better than most other members of the United Nations. And tonight, we have proof of that by the great awardees, honorees who we are awarding the Partners for Democracy Award to. And talking of leadership and talking of excellence, there's no one, I believe, who deserves that award more than Danna Azrieli. Danna is truly an amazing tapestry of all those qualities, of leadership, of excellence, of compassion, of vision. And in addition, she is a true Israeli patriot, but at the same time, an internationalist. She has made the Azrieli Group not only the leading group in Israel, but global, and continues to do that with amazing capability, vision, courage, leadership, and many of her colleagues are here tonight to witness that. I think that we are all very, very privileged to be able to recognize those qualities and to thank Danna for being not just a leading entrepreneur, but also a true Israeli patriot, a Zionist, and a person of great courage, but at the same time, a huge heart. So it is with great pride and gratitude that I want to present this award to Danna, who is here with her family, including by the way, her husband Danny and her sisters Naomi, Sharon, and their children, and the whole Azrieli team, which I'm also very proud to be on the board of. So, Danna, thank you. We love you, and this is your award.
You guys missed the photo op. Do you want to come back up here for a photo op? There was a confusion before. Thank you so much. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the leadership of the American Israel Friendship League, and I'd like to say a personal thank you to the chairman of the AIFL Israel, Ambassador Danny Gillerman, for his incredible commitment to deepening and strengthening the Israel-American relationship. Danny is a role model through his genuine thoughtfulness, his generosity of spirit, and his ability to connect ideas and people. I feel blessed that Danny is also a board member of the Azrieli Group, but more importantly, to call him a friend and to be continuously inspired by him to work on the very important subject of Israel-diaspora relations. I am also incredibly privileged tonight to share with everyone here, to tell you that I work with the most professional, committed, and creative team at the Azrieli Group, and some of my incredible and phenomenal people are here with us tonight, including my CEO, Eyal Henkin, and I'm so grateful to be working with these great, incredible people, and without a doubt, this award belongs to all of us, so thank you guys. I also want to point out that I am here with my two powerhouse and brilliant sisters, Naomi Azrieli, the chair of the Azrieli Foundation, and Sharon Azrieli, director of the Azrieli Foundation and the leader of all of our giving in the music of arts. along with the incredible team that represent our foundation and the work that we do. We are so blessed to be able to make an impact on the many important areas today in society, and none of us take it for granted for this ability to be able to give. And finally, in this section, I want to be able to thank my husband, Danny, of 20 years, Danny Hakim. I don't know how other strong women do it, or rather, I don't know how other strong people do it, but I know that Danny, for me, is a source of unconditional support, strength, and balance. He's the eternal optimist with a perspective on the world that I find inspiring, and together we have raised our two incredible daughters, who are also here tonight with us, missing school, I might add, all the way from Israel. Finally, the reason that we are here tonight is about partnership for democracy and the friendship between America and Israel. And so I just want to say a few words about this relationship, which is sometimes under stress, between America and Israel. While there are many similarities between Israeli Jews and American Jews, we are also in many ways from two very different cultures today. For example, we, Israeli Jews of today, have our own language, our own satire, our own humor, our own music, and our own fashion, just like we, American Jews of today, have our own language, our own satire, our own comedy, our own music, our own fashion. And after 25 years, what we have created in Israel is really nothing short of a miracle. Our tiny country is vibrant, teeming with life, innovation, and creativity. And it's important to stress that Israel is not just a safe haven for all Jews, but it is also a safe haven for all Jews. And to use an architectural metaphor, the thing to understand about Israeli and American Jewry, now that Israel has developed, is that after 75 years, Israeli Jews have their own powerful character. Today, it's like Israeli Jews and American Jews are on two different sides of an arch. And when thinking about an arch, we're on two different sides, but we need to push against each other with force and pressure, but we also need each other to hold each other up. And on top of an arch is a keystone. And our keystone is the right of the Jewish people to self-determination in our homeland, but also our common values of democracy for all people. And we may not always agree with each other, or our government's policies, or with the leadership of our respective countries. But we do need to keep pushing against each other and supporting each other in order for each other to survive and to thrive. These are such complex times in Israel and worldwide, but our common values and our belief in the keystone principles, the right of the Jewish people to self-determination, and our common values of democracy for all people, these are the things that we should hold on to today as we navigate the challenging times in the near and in the distant future. Thank you very much.
In the spirit of that, יחד לב אל לב נפתח ונראה את האור שבשמיים. יחד לב אל לב נפתח בתקווה לאהבה. איך שהלב נפתח חובק את העולם ובקריאה גדולה נשיר לאהבה. אמרו הכל אפשר השחר כבר עלה, שיר לאהבה. יחד לב אל לב נפתח ונראה את האור שבשמיים. יחד לב אל לב נפתח בתקווה לאהבה, ורק אם נאמין ובלי שום דאווים בדרך העולה נשיר לאהבה. לה 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 לב אל לב נפתח ונראה את האור שבשמיים. יחד לב אל לב נפתח בתקווה לאהבה. תודה רבה. תודה רבה.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, we hope you enjoy this brief interlude. Our next award recognizes the leaders of two companies that exemplify cooperation, mutual respect, and tenacity, values that the AIFL prizes and promotes. These two companies worked together during the COVID crisis to manufacture and distribute the life-saving vaccine and provide a model for trade and business relations. I also got Pfizer, by the way. Just saying, throwing it out there. Their cooperation showcased how two companies from the US and Israel can work together for the benefit of the people of Israel, the United States, and the world at large. And we are all hugely indebted to them.
Ever since its establishment in 1849, Pfizer strived to provide its clients with the best medicine and vaccines that science can offer. Standing in the forefront of research, the company creates medical solutions to various ailments, ranging from the common cold to cancer, which is essential to the life and life quality of innumerable people around the world. The company's commitment to a global, inclusive viewpoint has been demonstrated when Albert Bourla was selected as chairman and CEO in 2019. A year later, Bourla was already deftly maneuvering the company through the biggest medical calamity in recent history, COVID-19. Undeterred by the challenge, Pfizer became one of the leading bodies of research, working on a cure and the first to produce an effective, mass-distributable solution. As a result of Bourla and Pfizer's actions, COVID-19 turned from a deadly epidemic that shut down whole countries to a controllable disease that coincides with everyday life. Israel suffered from a high infection rate before Bourla and Pfizer stepped in. Pfizer's early involvement has been key for saving countless lives in the country, especially those with jeopardized immune system and the elderly. Under Bourla's supervision, Pfizer and Israel's cooperation helped create an ideal model for the spread of the vaccine, which greatly informed the world's inoculation efforts. Himself the son of Holocaust survivors, Bourla, who is outspoken about his Jewish heritage, continuously mentions the importance his closely knit Jewish community in Thessaloniki holds for him, his love for Israel, and the story of his family during humanity's darkest times. He thereby promotes values of community and remembrance, while striving to create a better future for all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I also want to add, well, Eric, you had it best. The kids stole the evening. Chick-fil-A, not so tasty. I'm not sure how to beat that. But I do want to take a moment to really thank the leadership of the AIFL for organizing this wonderful evening. Last year, many of us were together when we honored President George Bush and President Reuven Rivlin, the Humphrey family, and I introduced the Tenzer family for the founding, for the 50th anniversary of the AIFL. And here we are a year later, gathered again, honoring some extraordinary families and individuals. And I want to single out, for personal reasons, two individuals who I've come to know and really appreciate at the AIFL. Ruby Shamir, the head of AIFL in Israel. Recently, our family was in Israel, and one of our guests was there for the first time, and we were at the Monterey restaurant on the beach of Tel Aviv, and suddenly there was a loud sound, and Nancy said, "Oh, are there going to be fireworks tonight?" And we said, well, not quite the fireworks that you might be thinking of, but our week there was extraordinary, and we visited 3 of the companies that we have financed and that I started in Israel, 2 in Caesarea in the area of cardiovascular medicine and metabolic disease, which we took public on the TAS Stock Exchange about 8 years ago, and this past March, our cancer therapeutics company, Alpha Tau, TAU, Tel Aviv University, because the technology originated at Tel Aviv University. Professor Yitzhak Kelsen and Yona Kaseri, the chairman of the departments of biological sciences and physics at Tel Aviv University, and under the extraordinary leadership of Uzi Sofer and Rafi Levy, the former head of Goldman Sachs investment banking in Israel, who joined as our CFO, we're now making extraordinary breakthroughs in the treatment of solid tumors. And Ruby, your hospitality in Israel to us was extraordinary. And Jonathan Barsaid, coming in as head of AIFL, following on the extraordinary leadership of the Bialkin family, and Kenny Bialkin in particular, who I got to know for 15 years, many meetings in his office at the top of Skadden Arps. And not an easy person to follow, Jonathan, and a very difficult period for all of us and for Jewish organizations, and navigating the changing landscapes that we all face in our personal and our professional lives. And when you hear about the webinars that were initiated under your leadership, Jonathan, with 14 or 15,000 people attending each webinar, over 2 million people attending in total, and these are continuing, and the re-inauguration of the missions. Most recently, the crocodiles, and there's one for the Latinx community that's coming up, and so many more things that are coming. And it's just so important that all of us here do what we can to support the AIFL and other organizations of Jewish social service and philanthropy. And when I was thinking about this weekend, being up here at the podium and talking to you, and of course, I'm sure all of us are thinking about what's coming up tomorrow and in the weeks and months to come, and in trying to keep with the nature of the AIFL as being a non-political organization and not taking any political or advocacy positions, I tried to think of how to connect what we do here tonight as individuals and as families and as professionals with some of the things that are going on in the wider world. And I received 2 emails, which gave me a window on how to approach this subject and to lead to my introduction and honoring Dr. Albert Bourla of Pfizer. One of them was from Professor Timothy Snyder of Yale University, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with Professor Snyder's work, the author of The Extraordinary Bloodlands and Black Earth, the histories of the Holocaust, the short but very powerful 20 lessons from the 20th century on tyranny, and the road to unfreedom recently. And Professor Snyder for those of us that follow his work, either via Substack or through direct subscription, sent out a short video, which is available on YouTube. Timothy Snyder, you can look it up. It's about 12 minutes, and I encourage everyone here to watch this 12-minute video and to think about what Professor Snyder is telling us without naming any names, as Professor names no names, without taking any particular advocacy position. He talks about the challenge that's ahead in the election tomorrow and elections that have taken place in other countries, and the meaning of the deeper issues that are at stake. And as I say, I encourage all of us to take a few minutes and to hear what Professor Snyder has to say. And the second email that I received was from a group that follows another historian, Professor Yuval Noah Harari. And I'm sure you're familiar with Professor Harari's work, Sapiens and Homo Deus, and 21 Lessons from the 21st Century. And I would say that he's considered to be, if not the number one, perhaps the number one public intellectual in the world today. And the core of Yuval Harari's work, as applies to what we're doing here tonight, in my opinion, is that at the end of the day, whether it's magnificent buildings that are built or extraordinary therapeutics that are developed, it's the narrative that surrounds these achievements that really influence our lives. It's the storytelling, you might say. And there are wonderful stories, like the stories we've heard from the Silverstein family, and your father, Larry, isn't here, and I'm old enough to remember watching the predecessor to what we see downtown being built in the early 60s with my father. At the same time that the Verrazano Bridge was being built, the World Trade Towers were being built. And I saw them come down with my own eyes in under a minute each. And then to come in from Newark Airport and to see that magnificent tower and to see what this family has achieved, or coming in from the other side, from LaGuardia or Kennedy, having grown up in Manhattan and the Bronx and Long Island, and to see the video of what the family has done. And if your father was here, to thank him for everything. It's not just the buildings, it's the family story, it's the narrative. And the same thing for the Azrieli family. When I started working in Israel in 2005, and Kåre, when I was fortunate enough to meet the legendary chairman and CEO of Teva, Herbert, who became my first investor and a supporter of the activities that our group has done in Israel. When you go to Israel, back then, there was the Shalom Tower, right, in Tel Aviv, and there was the Aviv in Ramat Gan. And there was the iconic circular and square and triangular Azrieli Center. And I had the good fortune to meet your father, to meet David at the top of the circular building, and to go on the roof and to see the extraordinary vista from the Azrieli Center. And again, the building speaks for itself and what you've continued to do, and as we saw in the video, but it's really the story, the narrative that goes beyond the physical structure and that binds us all together. And I suppose, Dr. Bourla, that this brings me to speaking to you and to your wife and to what you and what your company have achieved. And in this video, and I have many pages here, and there's a very nice write-up in the book for the dinner tonight. And there's a personal connection, which I mentioned briefly to you during the dinner hour. It happens that our son's name is Iasonas, because on his mother's side, the whole family comes from Greece. His grandfather from the Peloponnese, and his grandmother a stone's throw away from where you grew up in Thessalonica, the island of Limnos. And one of his great aunts was married to the first Jewish mayor of Myrna, the capital of Limnos, and we've spent many, many summers in Greece, and we were just there, and we saw mutual friends there in Athens. And then there's another connection, which is a bit more poignant. You're the son of 2 Holocaust survivors, and if Moise and Sarah were here, they would be so proud of what you've achieved and what you continue to do in your life. And it happens that I'm the son of 2 Holocaust survivors. And if my father was here, he would honor you and what all of us do here together. And I'm very fortunate, Albert, that my 92-year-old mother, who is one of 3 survivors of an extended family of over 100 individuals, is here with us tonight. Mom. And Dad survived with 2 brothers and a sister, but as you've told about your family's survival, your father and your uncle and the extraordinary harrowing experiences that your mother went through, our family understands this, and everyone here, I'm sure, understands this. And then we come to really the purpose for why I'm standing up here tonight, which is to talk about Albert Bourla, the chairman and CEO of Pfizer, and the extraordinary achievements that you've made. And I'm not going to read from this document because it really speaks for itself, but there is one part of your role as chairman of Pfizer and what this 175-year-old company under your leadership the last 5 years has achieved, which I don't think very many people in this room know much about, and that has to do with Global Blood Therapeutics, a recent acquisition that Pfizer made. And when I started at Amherst College in 1971 and studying biology and went on to Stanford in biochemistry and later at Harvard for medical school, the notion that sometimes is passed along colloquially that physicians and scientists or pharmaceutical companies or medical technology companies, they don't really care about the individual or the patient. They care about building their businesses and making money. They're not socially responsible, or they don't care about the whole patient. This is simply not true. And I know this not just from my own opinion about this, but one of my professors at Stanford was Paul Berg. And in 1975, Paul Berg and a number of others held the Asilomar Conference, in which the biotechnology industry set standards for itself of how to do this research to make sure it was safe. And Paul Berg, a few years later, won the Nobel Prize for reverse transcriptase, which happens to, of course, play an important role in mRNA vaccine technology and so forth. So, and then a few years later, at Harvard, I had a professor, Herb Abrams. And Herb Abrams was a professor of radiology, and he too won the Nobel Prize in 1985, the Nobel Peace Prize, for the Physicians for Social Responsibility and the work that he did with physicians in the Soviet Union and in the United States, talking about the dangers of nuclear war and how this had to be something that was taken into consideration. So the idea that physicians or life science professionals don't think about the larger social issues that they have to deal with as executives or as researchers or as clinicians or as scientists, it just isn't true. And again, the perfect example, in my opinion, is the acquisition of Global Blood Therapeutics, because along with the kinds of considerations that I'm talking about, social responsibility, it was known all the way back in the 70s and the 80s when I was in medical school and doing research, that there are inequities, that there are disparities in the availability of health care to different groups. And in particular, for example, diseases of the African American community. diseases of the blood, in particular sickle cell anemia. And if the money isn't there to do research for these conditions, and if the therapeutics aren't there, these patients suffer. And all you have to be is in an emergency room one time to see a young child come in with sickle crisis, and you never want to see that again. Well, in about 2010, so a brilliant team at MIT, led by Matthew Jacobson, began to apply themselves to this problem, and using the advanced technologies of computational biology and conformational 3D studies, began to make some inroads. And then Dr. Ted Love, I believe, became the CEO. An African-American CEO became the CEO, and then there was an approval in 2019 of this therapeutic. But that's not enough. The company needs to have distribution. It has to be able to support these patients, and that's when Pfizer came along, and Pfizer made the decision to acquire, and now this life-saving technology for this underserved population is going to have global reach, and the platform that built this life-saving technology is going to be available to other patients. So for all of this, Dr. Bourla, and for everything that you represent in your career and the achievements of your company, it's an honor to ask you to come up and to present you with the 2022 Thank you, Dr. Bourla.
Thank you very much.
Take this out of your way.
There you go. Hello, everyone, and thank you, David. It's truly an honor to be here and to receive this award, but it is also especially meaningful that I'm receiving from a person that is a son of a Holocaust survivors, as I am, and I had the honor and pleasure to meet your mother earlier in the day, and discussing together, we discovered that we belong to the same tribe, although Ashkenazi and Sephardic. It also means a great deal to me that this award that I'm receiving has the name of a man I deeply admire, Kenneth Bialkin. Ken was a brilliant lawyer and a tenacious, tireless, and highly successful advocate for the Jewish people and for the state of Israel. His legacy endures through his wife, Anne, who is here today, who herself is a devoted worker, and of course, their children. Like Anne, I know what it means to be blessed with a loving and devoted spouse. So my love Miriam, is sitting there tonight too, and she is my best friend. And greatest source of joy together with our two children, sometimes. Congratulations also to Teva Pharmaceuticals and my very good friend and respected colleague, Kåre Schultz, for also being selected to receive the award. And to Danna, Lisa, and Tal for receiving the Partners of Democracy Award. And to Noa, who is coming later, for the Herbert Tennis Lifetime Achievement Award. All very well deserved. So I, of course, accept the Kenneth Bialkin Leadership Award on behalf of my 80,000 colleagues in Pfizer. I think they are the people that make me look good and bring me to the stage to receive awards very often lately. Some of them are sitting here tonight, and they are the ones that were cheering more loudly. Yes. given that at the end of the year is when we are deciding who is getting promotions and who is getting salaries increases. Also, I wanted particularly to acknowledge our colleagues, the Pfizer colleagues in Israel, who worked very closely with the Israeli Ministry of Health on both the initial rollout of the vaccine and also, very important, to collect real-world data about the vaccine's efficacy, safety, and durability. In fact, it was Israel that created most of the data that defined healthcare policies for every single country in the world. These data have played an invaluable role in our ongoing global efforts and made not only us, but I think every Israeli should be very proud for the work and the contribution that they had through their scientists and their Ministry of Health to the world. I know that that does not come as a surprise to the people of this room tonight. You know well of the extraordinary contributions that Israel makes every day to the world's well-being, and not just in terms of science and medicine. That's why for more than half a century, you have worked to strengthen the bond between Israel and the United States, which has resulted in a rich and deep understanding of and respect for each other as individuals and for our respective cultures. Not only have both countries benefited from that, but I believe the world has as a result. Given the worrisome events of late, I think it is fair to say that your work to build the bonds between the two countries has never been more important, valued, or needed than it is today. Fortunately, the AIFL is led by the highly respected Eric Gertner and Jonathan Barsaid for their talented team, which makes me optimistic about the future and excited about what can be accomplished. Thank you for everything you do every day. When we think of Israel, many of us naturally harken back to how, from our earliest days, we were taught about the link to the Holy Land from our parents. I first visited Israel in 1976, and I was 15 years old. In fact, the day I landed to Israel was the day that the operation of Edebe, to the liberation in Uganda of all the Israelis that have been the victims of an airplane that was kidnapped. And I was so amazed. It was clear to me that Israel was a special place because of its commitment to be not only a safe harbor, which is what I learned about Israel when I was a kid, a safe harbor for all of us Jews around the world. If something goes wrong, my parents, they told me now there is a place that you can go. We didn't have that when we were suffering. But also being a beacon for the entire world in terms of how democracy, innovation, in a place that is not known for those two elements, can thrive. And when I returned this summer to Israel, I was reminded of something equally important and powerful, that we in the United States share fundamental values with Israel, which was repeated here multiple times, a belief that democracy, free speech, and freedom of the press are essential for a society to be able to operate. We are championing equal rights for women and fighting injustice, particularly in a neighborhood where women are the #1 victims of the cultures over there, and a belief in science and the passion for innovation, which drives why Israel is the #2 company after the United States in unicorns, and it is the #3 company that has most listings in NASDAQ, are Israeli listings right now, #3, from a small country of 10 million people. These common values are what make our relations special, solid, and permanent. I'm very proud to be Jewish, and I'm very proud for what Israel has been able to achieve. I want to thank you again for this honor. I will cherish it forever. Stay well. Thank you very much.
Our story can be found in each one of the billions of doses we manufacture every year. Over 120 years ago, 3 pioneering brothers-in-law opened a drug distribution store in Jerusalem, a small business with a big goal. Teva grows rapidly, and under Eli Horvitz's leadership, our goal of providing access to high-quality medicines goes global. By 1982, we're listed on the NASDAQ. The Hatch-Waxman Act enables Teva to lead the generic medicine revolution and paves the way for Teva to become a leader in the U.S. market. In 1996 comes a medical innovation for use in multiple sclerosis patients worldwide. At the outset of the 21st century, our founding vision of distributing accessible medicines comes to life in dozens of countries. We introduce another novel treatment for those suffering from Parkinson's disease. Through dedicated acquisitions, we develop global capabilities and expand our over-the-counter business. 2012, a little over a century after our founding, we become a global leader in generic medicines. In 2017, Kåre Schultz joined Teva as its president and chief executive officer, focusing on strengthening Teva's business and enhancing its leadership.
When Kåre came to Teva, Teva was facing a period of financial instability. It was indeed a perfect storm. Kåre came in, developed a strategy, and achieved all his objectives. As a corporation, it is more efficient, it is more productive, and overall, he has done a truly remarkable job.
We have been strengthening the base of our business. We make nearly 30,000 different SKUs, different specific products that we distribute in more than 60 countries. And we have innovative medicines, and we've had a lot of success with ideas coming out of research in Israel and then developing it together with our American colleagues and bringing it to the US marketplace, but also to Europe and the rest of the world.
From the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, Teva set out to provide an uninterrupted supply of medicines for the millions of patients it served around the world. In Israel, Teva provided the logistics to support the national COVID-19 vaccination rollout, a collaborative effort that has set an example for many countries.
Well, you should know that since I was a little kid, I always loved America and Israel. And very young on my own, actually, I traveled to US when I was 16 on my own. And I traveled to Israel when I was in my early 20s, also on my own. So I always loved both countries.
Ladies and gentlemen, grandsons of our late President Ken Bialkin and namesake of this award, Mr. Gideon and Mr. Samuel Bialkin.
Hello, everyone. My mom really wanted to be here today, but she had a very sore throat. So in spirit with the people who are here, Teva and Pfizer, she thought it was not the best idea to come to not spread any sickness. And I found out that I was reading this 30 minutes before I came here, but in honor of my grandpa and the name of this award, I thought I wasn't going to back down to any challenge, so here I go. And this is Lisa's words, so it's going to refer to Kenneth as her father, even though he's my grandfather. Hey. My father, Kenneth Bialkin, husband of Ann Bialkin, here tonight. Grandfather of Sammy and Gideon Bialkin, also here tonight. In fact, right here. Passed away just a few months before COVID overtook the world. I do not know, of course, the specifics of how he would have processed the pandemic, other than shared horror over this global blight. But for sure, he would have been made very proud by the tremendous life-saving role his beloved Teva played in the battle against this disease, as well with so many others. I'm not sure what came first, his great friendship with Eli Herbert, chairman and CEO of Teva from 1976 to 2010, and others of the Teva family he called his friends for so many years. His enormous and unwavering commitment to Israel and the Jewish people, as reflected in his tireless leadership of the AIFL over many years of his brilliant and passionate dedication to helping small, smart Israeli companies and their leaders become giants in their fields. Whichever came first, it all came together in Dad's loyalty to the company Teva and its success, not only in Israel, but in the world at large. As most of you here know, my father worked tirelessly on behalf of so many Israeli companies, opening the doors for them to the U.S. markets. It was his fervent belief that the best way to solidify and strengthen the ties between the countries was by building bridges to Israeli industries. His close relationship to the late Herbert, whom he greatly admired as one of the best businessmen he knew, and to Teva was one of his great successes in this regard. As their lawyer for many years, he brought Teva through its first hugely successful IPO and remained a loyal stockholder thereafter. Indeed, he lived to see how Teva's success became a great example of his philosophy of how much of a difference an Israeli company that has made inroads into the U.S. on both the financial and product markets could make such a difference, not just for Israel, but for the world at large, as we have just seen so elegantly described in the video you just saw. The Kenneth J. Bialkin Leadership Award recognizes people and institutions at the forefront of business and politics whose leadership and pioneering spirit have helped promote commercial activity between the United States and Israel. Pfizer and Teva are each well-deserving recipients of this prestigious award. As stated, resources that these companies have invested and their dedication to promotion of healthcare throughout the world are unparalleled. And so while Dad would have been thrilled at the success Teva has seen for so many years, and in particular its life-saving role in the rollout of distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine, he would not, I imagine, have been surprised. For all these reasons, it is with immense pleasure and gratitude that on behalf of my family and the AIFL, I present the 4th Annual Kenneth J. Bialkin Leadership Award to Kåre Schultz, Teva's President and Chief Executive Officer.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming here tonight. Let me congratulate the other honorees. It's very well deserved for each and every one of them. And let me thank AIFL for arranging this fantastic evening and for all the good things they do that we've heard about earlier tonight. I would also like to thank the Bialkin family that I've been sharing the table with for this fantastic award. I'm very, very honored to receive the Kenneth J. Bialkin Award. But I have a confession to make to all of you. I'm not American. I'm not Israeli. I'm not Jewish. But as you just heard, I love America. I love Israel. And I've actually done it longer than AIFL has existed. Because since I was a small kid, I had this fascination of both America and Israel. And I'd like to share with you just 3 small stories that explain this and might still explain the fundamental fascination, attraction that America and Israel has to this very day, which might play an emotional and fundamental role in the friendship between the two countries. So, first story, it's about America. So, since I was a kid, I really wanted to go to New York and Washington, D.C. But my parents, they never traveled, so I couldn't really go with them. So, when I was a young kid in high school, I decided to get a job and make some money. So I started cleaning every evening in a kindergarten. And in a kindergarten, you really need to clean because it's kind of dirty. So I had this job 5 days a week, and I made money during high school. And when I was 16 years old, I went to my mother and said, "Mom, I would really love to fly to New York and on to Washington, D.C. with a Greyhound because I love to see it. And this was the late 1970s. And she said, are you crazy, son? It's super criminal. It's dangerous. You can't go there. You're 16 years old. Okay. So I went to my dad. And I said, Dad, I'd love to go to New York. I found a cheap airplane I can fly with. And I'll go there, and then I'll go down to Washington, D.C. And he said, how are you going to pay for that, son? I said, well, I saved the money from my cleaning job at the kindergarten. And then he said, okay, if you're old enough to make your own money, you're old enough to spend your own money. So he said, okay, you can go. So I went, and it was a fantastic trip. I flew with an old airplane. We had to land in Gander and then Newfoundland and then fly down here because it was a very cheap ticket I got. And I was all over New York. I was in the World Trade Center. That's no longer there. I was in the Empire State Building. It was a fantastic experience for me. Went on to Washington, D.C. with a Greyhound bus and saw that. So fantastic trip. Really, really nice. Then not long after, a couple years later, I really wanted to go to Israel because I'm from Denmark, and in Denmark, there's always been a really good relationship with the Jewish community and a strong positive feeling about Israel all my childhood. So a friend of mine went into a kibbutz that was very popular back then. Actually, there were more kibbutz in Israel back then than there is today, but back then it was very popular to go down there. I wasn't going all in like that, but I took a vacation and I traveled again on a cheap ticket alone to Israel, went up north near the Kerret to the kibbutz, stayed a week there and I don't know, fed some chickens, whatever we did, picked some avocados, and then we went on buses because back then all transportation, cheap transportation in Israel was all about going on the buses. So we went on the buses, we went to Jerusalem, I was there for the first time in my life, very fascinated about that. Went down to Eilat, that was really good fun, met a lot of young Israeli people, just like the young people we saw today, had lots of fun. I got a sunburn, of course, the first day in Eilat because I'm a bit too blonde and light-skinned for that, or I was back then at least. So that was a really great trip. And I loved the people, I loved the place. Later on, about 10 years ago, I get married second time, and I arranged the honeymoon. We get married in Israel, not in Israel, but in Italy. And I'm the arranger, and it's secret where we're going. And I decide that my wife and I, we're going to go to Jerusalem because I love the place. So she doesn't know, and we go to Jerusalem. We stay in the King David with a view of the old city. We go down to the Western Wall. Of course, we fold a little piece of paper with our wishes. And as you know, see you next year in Jerusalem. And little did we know, 5 years later, I'm called up by some headhunter from Los Angeles, and he tells me, wouldn't you like to go and work in Israel for Teva Pharmaceuticals? That's a tough challenge because the financials are not perfect at that point in time, like you heard from my chairman. But then I take another look and I see all these fantastic products. Teva is making fantastic products for many, many years, supporting more than 200 million patients every single day. And I think this is so difficult to do pharmaceuticals. My very good friend and colleague from Pfizer knows it. It takes 10, 15 years to just do one product. So if you have a lot of products, of course, it's partly because they're generics, but still, it takes a lot of skill to do all these products, 30,000 different products every single day. And I think these people must be very smart. Otherwise, they couldn't do it. It's a shame about the financial situation, but hopefully I can fix that with some hard work. And I would love to work with these people, and I'd love to be in Israel, because I know Israel quite well by then. I've been there many times on business. So I end up saying yes, land in Tel Aviv, start living there. I've been living there now for 5 years, and it was, a rocky start, I would say, because we had to really restructure in order to keep the company afloat. And then all of a sudden came COVID-19. And I can only say that it was a fantastic collaboration between the Israeli state, the Prime Minister's office, the Ministry of Health, the National Security Council, Pfizer, and Teva. And of course, Pfizer provided the vaccine, and the government provided the support, and we provided all the logistics, the practicalities. And this was the first country that did this. So it was an
innovation, true innovation, how to do it, how to work with Pfizer on getting the product, how to work with all the clinics, making sure the products got out there, that people came in from the vaccinations, that we didn't waste the vaccines. A big, big logistical and practical effort that worked out well. And Israel was the leader in that whole wave of vaccinations that then spread out worldwide, thanks to the huge efforts by Pfizer to get the vaccines to all corners of the world eventually. Now, this kind of collaboration can only happen if the employees, they can work together. And it really isn't about Albert or me, it's about all the employees of Pfizer, it's about all the employees of Teva who did this together. So they should really have the prize for doing this. They pulled it off against a lot of odds. It was very difficult to work during COVID due to all the restrictions, but they did it. And today, people in Israel working for Teva, people in the US working for Teva, people in Israel working for academic institutions, in US working for academic institutions, they all work on finding new and better medicines, new and better pharmaceuticals that can help people with real needs. And I know we will be successful because we've been successful in the past, and I think the scientific environment in America and in Israel is better than anywhere else in the world. There might be a lot of problems in all countries of the world, also in America, also in Israel, but if it comes to innovation and science, you don't find it better than in Israel and in America. And for that reason, the collaboration will stay strong, the friendships will stay strong, and talking about friendships, we all know it only works if you have person-to-person interaction. And actually, in these COVID times, we also know you cannot build a real friendship on a video screen. You need to meet, which is why it's so nice to meet you all here tonight. And at the end, I'd just like to thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for the award. And I think there's a strong future for American-Israel friendship the next many, many years. Thank you.
Good morning, and welcome to Ambassadors Against BDS, the first ever international anti-BDS movement in the United Nations!
Actress, producer, writer, and activist Noa Tishby has become one of the most powerful voices for Israel in the United States. Growing up in Tel Aviv, Tishby got her start in the Israeli entertainment industry as a teen and went on to appear in Israel's leading TV shows, films, theater, and ad campaigns, becoming a household name in Israel. When she made her move to LA, success followed quickly, with appearances in leading shows such as The Affair, Dig, Star Trek, CSI, and many more. As a producer, Tishby made history with the sale of In Treatment to HBO, the first Israeli television show to become an American series. Alongside Mark Wahlberg and Stephen Levinson, she co-produced the 12 Emmy and Golden Globe nominated and Peabody Award-winning series, In Treatment. With that first sale, Tishby created an uncharted market, the sale of Israeli TV formats to major TV networks, and Tishby sold numerous of those. In 2011, Tishby founded the first Israel-focused online advocacy and rapid response organization, Act for Israel. Not long after, Tishby initiated Reality Israel, while continuing to appear as a keynote speaker and panelist at events around the world, including the United Nations General Assembly.
You are making the world a better place, more tolerant place for Jews, for Christians, for Muslims, and everyone else alike.
Noa Tishby, actress, producer, writer, and activist.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, President of the AIFL, Jonathan Barsaid.
Thank you. Herbert Tenzer was one of the original founders of the AIFL. He sought to promote democratic principles and the values shared between the people of the United States and Israel. In his honor, we established the Herbert Tenzer Lifetime Achievement Award back in 2005 to recognize individuals who best exemplify the principles and values he believed in. Tonight's recipient is so well-deserving. Growing up in Israel, we all learned of the U.S. legal system through shows like Ironside, the U.S. medical system through shows like Ben Casey. And yes, I know I'm aging myself with all of this. And who didn't want to investigate crime after seeing a show like Miami Vice? Yet Israeli entertainment was limited to local folklore movies such as the Borekas movies and TV shows like Nikui Rosh or Chedva V'Shlomik. In recent years, our award recipient was a trailblazer in introducing modern Israeli entertainment to the world, and through it providing a glimpse into life in Israel, dilemmas that face Israelis in day-to-day life. After appearing in Israeli TV series and a successful career in Hollywood, she did not stop there, and like any good Israeli, decided that she also needs to sound her voice and her opinion. She's an outspoken advocate for all things Israel and Israeli. She doesn't hold back. She wields her voice to correct misinformation about Israel and to bring clarity to Israel's accomplishments and culture. In a few short years, this has brought her numerous honors and accolades, and she was named to Hollywood Reporter Women in Power list and invited to appear as a keynote speaker at events around the world, such as what we saw now in the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman is none other than Noa Tishby, a woman that we at the AIFL are proud to call a friend.
Okay. Thank you so much for this honor. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for my fellow honoree. I'm honored to be at your wake. I want to be brief and I want to speak from the heart because I feel like all of us here have the exact same intention and all of us here come from the exact same place. This award is beautiful, but none of us do it for the awards. None of us do it for the accolades. We do it for the difference that we make with one person at a time. I want to tell you a story about something that happened to me recently, which exemplifies for me why I do what I do. So as you saw in the video, which was intense, by the way, maybe want to grow my hair back, I wrote a book about Israel. It came out last year. It's called Israel, A Simple Guide to the Most Misunderstood Country on Earth. It's a way to tell the story of Israel in a fun way. Fun, relatable. Danna is saying you're very kind. Danna told me she actually read it before, so thank you very much. I wanted to tell the story in a way that's easy to understand, that's relatable, that's fun, that's, God forbid, funny, right? People are like, oh my God, it's so complicated. And I wanted it to be speaking to the younger generation. I knew that there is no book that can tell the story of Israel to people that are under the age of 30 or 18. So I went ahead and I wrote the book. It came out last year. It did great, and I'm getting great response from it. But one specific story that to me is why we do what we do, why all of us do what we do. So I had a speaking engagement in Atlanta a few weeks ago, and there was a kid there, a student at Emory University. You all know what's going on college campuses. You all know about this new hip social justice cause called anti-Zionism, which is basically anti-Semitism 2.0, right? Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The kids on college campuses are the front line of this war. They are actually the ones that are going to battle. We're sitting here in these nice rooms. Those out there on college campus are being excluded from groups because they're Jewish, because they're Zionists. So this girl comes up to me. She's at the event, and she comes up to me, and she tells me, she's teary. And she tells me she goes to Emory and she started a interfaith reading group on her campus so she can reach out to different faiths on campus. And she said that she brought over my book as the first book that she wanted them to read, her friends to read. There was a girl there who was a Muslim girl from students from SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine. I don't know if you know this organization, but it's affiliated with BDS. It's a horrifically anti-Semitic and anti-Israel organization. She was the head of the SJP chapter, a Muslim girl. And this girl from Emory gave her my book to read. And she came back a few days later and she said, I read the book, I did the research, I left SJP, I was lied to, I can't believe I didn't know all these things, and thank you so much for giving me this information. Thank you. And that to me is why I do what I do. This is why all of you do what you do. It's for making a difference, one person at a time. What's happening today is very concerning. We all know, I don't even need to talk about, the artist formerly known as Kanye West and other social sports stars, pop stars. It's horrific. It's out in the open. What was simmering underneath the surface for many, many years is coming out in the open. And I want us to not get discouraged by this. We'll continue doing what we're doing. We continue strengthening the friendship between America and Israel because of shared values, because we stand for the same things. And we know one thing for sure, right? 1,000 years from now, we don't know what the world's going to look like, right? We don't know what borders are going to look like. We don't know what Ilhan Omar's family is going to look like, right? We have no idea. But we do know one thing for sure, and that is that even 1,000 years from now, all over the world, women are going to be lighting Shabbat candles. That's not going anywhere. We got this. We got this. Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
It's not a long speech, don't worry. On behalf of everyone at the AIFL, thank you for joining us tonight to salute our 5 impressive honorees. I also want to thank you for your ongoing involvement with the League. As the world around us becomes ever more divided, your friendship continues to be critical, and our work becomes even more important. We appreciate that many of you have supported AIFL throughout 51 years, and we offer a heartfelt thank you in advance for being steadfast champions through the next 51 years. I also want to extend a warm thank you to the AIFL staff who organized the wonderful dinner and who are so dedicated to the League's work every day for the entire year. On that note, I invite you all to pick up our thank you gift on the way out. It is a book by our beloved longtime chairman, Kenneth Bialkin, From Wall Street to Jerusalem. One for a couple. We hope you will enjoy it. Thank you again for coming, and please get home safely.